I'm here to become better, faster. I'm here to become stronger, smarter. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Winners never waste.
Ladies and gentlemen, please fill up your feedback forms and leave your forms on your way out from the hall at the end of our seminar today. And while waiting for our forum to start, please enjoy the video presentation on Winners Never Waste.
I'm here to become better, faster. I'm here to become stronger, smarter. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Waste your time, then you'll falter. If it isn't now, then it's never. Winners never waste. I wish I had more time. I wish to become faster, better. Because every second I've wasted won't come back. I'm here to become better, faster. I'm here to become
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Graduate on Time Seminar 2018. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us hear our first forum for today on tips to graduate on time, supervisor's perspective. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Isnin Sulaiman from Faculty of Business and Accountancy as the moderator to start the forum and to introduce the panelists for this evening. Please welcome.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, good afternoon everybody. I guess you all had a nice lunch and now ready for the next session. When I was first asked to be a moderator in this session, I said yes. Then after saying yes, then I asked myself, are we looking at the student's perspective or are we looking at the supervisor's perspective? I'm happy that I'm supposed to moderate the supervisor's perspectives. And perhaps within the sessions with all the speakers, I also can share a little bit of my experience with this GOT. You have heard this morning why GOT is necessary, why, and so on and so forth, right? So today we are going to have three panelists with us. Professor Dr. Mohamed Suffian from Faculty of Science, Associate Professor Dr. Fung from Faculty of Medicine. Yeah. And also Dr. Faradina Yusof from Faculty of Education. You may see that, you know, the sequence may is intentional, right? But let me assure you, Dr. Faradina may be young, right? But she has, I think, successfully graduated students, and right? So they are all speakers that can actually, you know, have had students who have graduated on time. So without further ado, can I actually invite them up here? Dr. Mohamed Suffian, all three, Dr. Fung and Dr. Farah. I will begin by actually, okay, I'm supposed to sit here. Satu mic aja yang kita pass. Okay, I think each of the speakers are given 15 to 20 minutes, and at the end of the sessions, we will take questions. But if in the event that you have some burning and desired question to ask to the panelists, I may allow you, you can raise your hand and we may allow you to actually ask the questions just in case you forget to ask it at the end. I think Dr. Farah will be using some slides, but the other two speakers are not using slides. So I think we begin. Can we begin? Right? Okay, I call upon Dr. Mohamed Suffian.
Thank you, Prof. Isnin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to all of you. I'm supposed to give perspective from the point of view of a supervisor on how you're supposed to graduate on time. Let us put some kind of baseline here, okay? There are two things in this endeavor of postgraduate studies. First, you and your supervisors, all right, both have no formal education on how to become supervisor and supervisee, all right? Your supervisor has to train to become supervisor. It's on-the-job training, okay? And you, as a supervisee, is also on-the-job training. That's the first one. This we must understand. Meaning that no one is equipped, all right, as they go into in the role of supervisor or as a student, they are well equipped to handle anything, all right? That's the first one. The second baseline is this. Both you and your supervisors, or supervisor, if you only have one, is on a journey to find out something, all right? It's not a research if you are doing something that's already known, the outcome, okay? You might like to make a new discovery. You might like to seek new perspective on something that's well researched, all right? But whatever it is, both of you are on the journey. And the level of knowledge on whatever that the work is going to be done will be approximately the same, okay? Because both of you will be discovering this as you go along with the research work, okay? These are the two baseline that I would like to share firstly with you, all right? Thank you.
Okay, now I think in terms of supervision training, some universities in the UK, in France actually have, you have to get the certificate before you can actually train, so supervise. So maybe that's the next step in Malaysia, not sure. Okay, next, Dr. Fong. You want to use that mic? Yes, you can speak. You can speak in one shot, 15 to 20 minutes, or we can go around again, yeah.
Good afternoon to everyone. May I see a show of hands? How many of you are from the sciences? Less than 15, maybe? So, echoing what Prof. Mohamed Suffian has said, the supervisor's role is actually quite complex, but professional at the same time. So we are supposed to mentor you, we are supposed to coach you, to guide you, to model for you an example of how, for me, a scientist should be, because from the sciences, we are also scientists, apart from being lecturers, and to manage and to help you to manage your time and your experiments. So these are the things that we are supposed to show you how these things are to be done. And we also would like to prepare you for a career in science. So in the field of sciences and from where I come from, the field of medicine, we are to teach you these things. So earlier on in the supervision, when we take in a student, we are supposed to help you to steer the research, meaning that we would tell you about what the project is about, and then towards the end of the candidature, perhaps the candidate may want to find his or her own niche areas to make the research better. But I'm very sure that for those of you who are in the sciences, when you approach a supervisor, it will be in a field that you are interested in as well, not just the field of the supervisor involved. So I always ask my students this question when they come. Do you know what I'm doing? If the students cannot tell me what I'm doing, that would mean that the student has not done the background research. And do you know what are the techniques that are involved in my research? That is one of the background techniques that the students should find out on. And then subsequently, are you interested in what I do? Because in the field of sciences, if you have no particular interest, it is very difficult. Because experiments can fail. And more often than not, it will. So when experiments fail, it is this burning desire in the student to find out why it fails, how do I overcome it, what are the troubleshooting techniques that I should follow to enable these students to go on than to give up. And this is one of the most important criteria in graduating on time. Because if the students give up, if the students have no more desire to find out more, no more desire to overcome his or her curiosity, then it is very difficult to get everything done according to the timeline. So some of these problems that I find that my students face throughout their research, their studentship with me, is number one, poor planning. Poor planning and management of the project. As a scientist, they come into the lab, not just sit down there and say, okay, what do I do today? No. Before they come in to start the project, they must already know what to do, when to do, how to do. And if they don't know how to do, we plan ahead. So that's when I come in to tell them how to do, where to do these things, where to get this. So everything is planned. Of course, scientists are a bit OCD, you know. We want everything written, everything planned, week to week planning. See it in a calendar. And then if something goes wrong, we will fine-tune along the way. But no student scientist can come into the lab having to ask me, today, what should I do? No, because it doesn't work this way in the lab. Because all laboratory equipments need to be purchased beforehand. It needs to be planned. Your essays that we do, we need to pre-plan, because after doing the essay, we would like to know how do we get the results. etc., etc. So planning is very, very important. Secondly, what are the methodological difficulties? Because when they come into the lab, naturally, we would want to train them to learn new methods. Not just what they have learned in, for instance, in their undergraduate studies, but they also, the reason why they come and do masters or PhD with us is because they want to learn new techniques. So they need to know, can they handle these techniques? For instance, if you are afraid of animals, rats or mice, or you don't like to see animals being sacrificed, then you cannot join the project if the project involves animal work. Because you cannot come into the lab and say, okay, I want to do my PhD. And then along the way, because it wasn't well planned, then you figure out halfway, then you have to do some in vivo studies involving animals. And then you say, no, I cannot do this. Then how are we going to do all these things? So then the project is stalled. And that would affect you graduating on time. Also, some people, they say that, okay, I think I can handle animals, but when it comes to hands-on, when the animals start wriggling in front of you, and when they start to do these, all the other things in front of you, you go like, cannot. Or when I see blood, cannot. Then again, that would stall your project. And the third thing is writing. In the University of Malaya, we have this requirement for master students to write, to publish before they can graduate. Also, more importantly, for doctorate students to do the same. So if their command of language is no good, we as supervisors, we try to help. But writing is not just language alone. It is to be able to translate what you think, what you are doing, into writing. In a sequence, stepwise writing. I don't know how the social sciences write, but in sciences, it is very systematic. What you do is what you write. We cannot say that, oh, today I did ABC essay, but I actually don't know what I use. What is this called? I don't know what is that called, or what is this called. So I will try to find it, but I actually don't really know. That kind of thing. No. Cannot be done. First thing you have to do is recognize everything that you do. Then you put into writing. And then there are some students who do not practice having a logbook. They do the experiment, hearsay kind of way. Your seniors, I normally have a senior guiding the fresh students who come into my lab to tell them how these essays are done. And I make sure that my students have a logbook. Everything that is told to you, you write it down. You cannot say that I think I can remember, so okay, then I go home. Then tomorrow I say, what is it again? Cannot. Because this is science. Scientists like to, we see, therefore we report. We don't imagine things. Because we cannot. We are scientists. So what we see, we report. What we do, we report. Because this is very important. Every time you do a different step in the experiment, when you see something, you write it down because it will be easy for us to troubleshoot. If someone were to come to help you after you've done a certain experiment but it failed, then that person will look back at everything you do and they say, oh, I think this part is what you shouldn't do. That's how we try to troubleshoot. The next is isolation. Some students, they like to work in isolation. They like to work alone. They like to do things on their own. They like to hawk things in the laboratory and say that this is mine. I do not know how other laboratories work, but from where I come from, I prefer that the student do not. Because we are also trying to inculcate a culture where you talk to one another. Today, I'm doing this. In case your experiment need an extra hand, you want someone to help you hold the test tube or the beaker, at least your friend can do the timing thing with you. Today, you're only doing this, right? Can you help me to hold a little bit? Can. Or I remember many years ago when I was doing animal experiment. I just want my friend, my lab mate to be there to help me to hold the rabbit's bum. Then can. Then I can take blood easily. That kind of teamwork we are trying to establish. We cannot say that this is my experiment, so I do it all by myself. And then no one can know my secret? No. What secret would there be if your experiment fails? No secret. And then also, when you try to do, maybe make up your solution, you want to double check with your friends. Are you using the same, or is my balance working properly? That kind of thing. You don't want to do everything, and then say, when my experiment failed, then you sit down there on your own and you try to figure out what happened. So we're also trying to involve people in your work so that we can help one another. Teamwork is what we're trying to establish. Then the next thing is, another thing that I find that students are not able to graduate on time is personal problems. A lot of students, they not only come to us as students, they also have personal baggages. That sometimes we try not to interfere, but more often than not, the problems interfere with the work. Not that we are trying to interfere with them personally, but these personal problems interfere with the work. So as supervisors, we try to draw a boundary. We try to have this boundary. But when it interrupts your work, then we have to step in. We have to counsel the students. We have to maybe try to share with them a little bit of our experience of how we manage time, etc. Not too much, I hope. So that could be one of the reasons why students find it difficult to finish their project. And also, another reason that I hear from other students why they cannot graduate on time is the supervisors not being attentive enough, or they neglect the students entirely. They are not present for the students to talk to. They are not able to give good counsel or good advice to the students. So therefore, the students feel as though he or she is all alone in this project. I don't know how to go on anymore. If I do like this, cannot. I do like this, cannot. So I don't know where to go. And then the supervisor, some of them may not have the expertise to show them the way. And then the supervisors always say, this is your project, you find your way. But the students don't know how to find their way. Therefore, we as supervisors, we have to help them. Not help to do it for them, but help to show them. We have to have enough experience and expertise to tell them this. But towards the end, if the students are so good that they're able to steer their research to their benefit, to show to the supervisors that I can do this on my own, then it's good. Then we are helping the students to do something. And then we have to give credit to the student where it's due. You know, a lot of supervisors, we tend to claim credit. We tend to want to say that, oh, this is my student, no, my student did this. And that's when the students start to feel like, cannot. Then the student don't want to do. That's when the student also fall apart with the supervisor. And that is also one of the reasons why projects cannot go on. I think. I don't know. You can give me feedback. Okay? And so I want to end my talk with 11 practices of effective postgraduate supervision. Number 1 is to ensure that the partnership is right for the project. Therefore, we interview students before they come in. We don't, well, at least for me, I don't take in a student when they say, okay, I want to do a project. So I say, okay, come, that's it. No. I want to see whether I can communicate with this person or not. I can talk to this person or not. And that person can, it's a two-way thing. I think I'm a lady, so I work sometimes based on a little bit of feeling. So I need to get that kind of, what's that word for it? Chemistry, very good, thank you so much. Chemistry with the students. Ada chemistry or tak ada? If there's no chemistry, susah. I want to tell them, susah. They want to receive my instruction, susah. So chemistry. Then the next is to get to know students and carefully assess their needs. is this student coming to me because I'm from the sciences? Again, I have to say this. Is this student coming to me because this student want to earn a degree? Or is this student coming to me because this student really want to know about this topic that I'm researching on? That is what I want to get a feel of. Because, like I said, in sciences, experiments do fail. If this student's aim is to come to me to get a degree, it is very difficult for me to cultivate this inquisitive nature in them to go and find out more things about this topic. Okay? And then to establish reasonable and agreed upon expectations. When the students come to me, there is an expectation. Expectation from the student's point of view is, okay, I want to finish my project, I want to earn this degree. Expectation from my point of view is, for every grant that I apply for, there is an output. That is my expectation. That is the output that I need to churn out. And who can do that for me? The students will help me. I will guide them and they will do the work and we will do it together. And then to encourage the students to write early and often. Every day, it must be a practice for this student to go back and write down something. If they find out about something in their free time, go and research on the topic. Write down, keep a reference list. Not when the project is 3/4 way through. And then I say, okay, now write something. Oh, then only I go back to do literature research, find something to match my results, you know. Maybe that's not very ideal in the sciences. Because as you go along, you find things. And then you write it down. You record things so that when I want something, everything is there. This is a habit. A habit of writing, a habit of recording, a habit of listing everything that you find out in the course, in the tenure of your studentship. You will find that very, very helpful when your supervisor asks you to do a write-up. Okay, and then to get involved, to inspire and motivate others. Sometimes when we want to motivate ourselves, we find it very helpful when we also motivate others. So that is why my students should not be working alone. It is not, no man is an island. And throughout, when I was doing my master's and PhD, I also find that if I were to work alone, it's very difficult. I have friends to talk to. No matter how difficult the experiment is, it suddenly becomes easy in my mind. Then it becomes easy with my hands. That kind of attitude that I feel my students should have. And the final thing is, as supervisors, we need to take active interest in the students' future careers. I always try to keep my PhD graduates as a postdoc for a few months, if not for a year, to prepare them for whatever career that they want to embark in, to help them and to show them a little bit of here and there what being a scientist is all about. And subsequently to carefully monitor the production and the presentation of research. I usually encourage my students to join local conferences, international conferences when funds are available, and to go and see what other people do as scientists, to show them what being a scientist is all about. And sometimes students are so busy doing experiments where actually they have no time. So as supervisors, we always get invitation of conferences. Then you give them these choices and they will pick which they would like to attend. So I'll end here. If there are any questions, I think we can discuss. Thank you.
I think we go on to the next speaker first and then leave the Q&A towards the end.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon, everyone. When I look at you, I see that most of you are in your 20s to early 40s, or you don't have to show hands for this, but it shows that there's a range of experiences and variety of backgrounds. May I just know who are from the social sciences? Oh, okay. You say like majority of you from social sciences. And are you all PhD students? Yes? In your early semesters? First and second? No, okay. No? Okay, towards the end. Okay. I think all the speakers from this morning, okay, from Datuk Awang and then Prof. Zaidatun Tasir, and now our panel here, Prof. Suffian and Dr. Fung, have shared a lot of things with you. But I just wanted to share a framework. Okay, I am from education, and to be specific, I am instructional designer. Okay, if you are in the field of instructional design, it is a field where you design learning experiences, the effective learning experiences for your target audiences. Okay, in the field of designs, we work by framework all the time. Okay, so I can say that I am a little bit of social sciences, but I also have a food ed in the science also. Okay, so let me just summarize what we have discussed so far from this morning. I hope I'm doing this right way. So I think that what we have discussed so far is about factors delaying students from graduating on time. Most of the speakers are sharing information, experiences. So for me, graduating on time involves 3 important elements. Okay, the first one is the student, meaning yourself. Okay, you need to have the right knowledge, skills, and attitudes to graduate on time. I'll talk about this later. Well, next, you also have the university requirements that you need to comply with. So, what is the relationship between you as student and the institution? Okay, the institution have rules and requirements. Okay, if you don't follow these rules, you are not going to graduate on time. So you need to know and be aware of these requirements first and try to comply with it. No excuses. If they say that you have to do your candidature defense at a certain semester, that's what you have to do. Okay? Try not to delay. Try not to do, appeal. Okay? Try to be on track all the time. And the second important thing that you not think component of your successful being on time is your supervisor. I like to say this to my students. I think PhD is a very lonely journey. Okay, especially maybe in social sciences. Even though we are surrounded by people and we do experiments with people, we are actually alone. Because in education, at least in education, they always expect you to come up with something new. Okay, new theory, new method, new approaches, novel approaches, and students get confused. Okay, all those theories have been discussed from 1800 times. 1,800, so many times. How can I bring a new one to the research? So the only person who knows you, who understands you, and who will be your friend in this lonely journey is your supervisor. Try to make peace with him or her. Don't make them your enemy, okay? You'll be in trouble. So, between you and your supervisor, you need to create a good relationship with them. Okay? I'm not going to talk a lot about this because IPS have the guidelines on this, but I just wanted to share with you. Okay? Be aware of all the requirements for graduations right before you register for the program. Okay, for example, what is the minimum residential requirement for you? Okay, because I know international students have problems with visa. I have my students also experiencing the same thing. So most of the time, because of the visa problems, we have to go back to their country before they can fulfill the minimum residential requirement. And this is a headache for you and the supervisor and also the university. Okay. Also, what is the minimum passing grade? If you have to enroll in a course and have to pass it, what is the minimum grade? Because I have seen students who are confident, very confident, to submit their thesis. Then when the faculty check, this student doesn't have the passing grade of B. Okay, she got C on the statistic course. So she cannot, even though she has completed everything, she cannot move on from that stage, and she has to actually redo the examination for that course. Okay, so if she knows earlier, okay, she must have give more time to study and to pass the course, right? Okay, this might sound weird, but I am in agreement with Dato' Awang. You have your own thesis template the first day of your registration. Start working on the first day. So be aware of the deadlines to conduct your proposal defense, candidature defense, and so on, as well as the format of the thesis. Okay. And the supervisor. Your supervisor, as I said, is your best friend in this PhD journey. They are your best friends, really. At least I wanted to be best friend to my students. Okay. So you need to get their advice on courses to be taken in which semester, courses that can be helpful for you to complete your graduation on time. And the topic and design of research. Most of the time, students are, they have their own thinking. I wanted to do this topic, but when you present it to your supervisor, she will know, no, this is an obsolete theory. You can't use it anymore because the requirement for the graduation is publication. Okay, so if you want to publish in top tier journal, even Scopus journal, they will look into your theories. If you are in education, the learning theories, you have to know the latest theory, the latest framework. And these theories and framework are very dynamic. It's like an IT gadgets. It's like every year they have new things, new models, new framework. You have to know all of these things. Only as supervisors know which topic is best for you, or at least helping you to figure out how to get your interest match with the journal requirements or interest. Okay. You also, even though this is not important, but you can take this into consideration. Your supervisor's supervision style. Okay? Most literature will say either your supervisor is an authoritarian. It's like very like dictator, very detailed. I want you to do this 1, 2, 3 until 10. Okay, you have to follow this, but of course with good intention. Okay, sometimes we have been supervising many years. We have met a lot of students. We also have been internal and external examiners, not just in UM, sometimes overseas. Okay, if not national level. Okay, we have, with this experience, we can say that some students need template. Okay, do step 1 until step 10. But other students may not need this template. You can give them free template, then they can model according to themselves, okay, which is fine. So your supervisor style is very important for you to know. If they are too laissez-faire person, then you know you have to be a little bit firm with yourself. Be more self-disciplined. Be more proactive. Approach the supervisor, not waiting for him or her to call you to meet. Okay? If that person is a companionable, I don't know whether this kind of supervisor exists, but maybe I am a little bit of it. Okay, this is a friendship-like style. Okay, and they like harmonious relationship. Okay, don't get me wrong, not that relationship, the professional academic relationship, but it's like a friendship style. Okay, this kind of supervisor sometimes will drop you a message in the WhatsApp or Telegram, or give you a call, but a friendly call, a gentle reminder, please send your chapter 3 by tomorrow, okay, something like that, okay. If that person is synergetic, they have dual purposes. Maybe I'm a little bit of this. Okay, what do I mean by dual purposes? Meaning that they want to help university achieve the goals, for example, graduating on time. But at the same time, they care for you, for your own development. I'm like that. I want to help the university by supervising them, make sure they are graduate on time. But I'm also care about their scholarly abilities. Okay, so students under my supervision will go conferences with me, not for me. Okay, we write chapters together. Okay, not 50-50. We do it together. Okay, well, it's like coaching. It's like mentoring you. Okay, if you have this kind of supervisors, you're very lucky. But believe it or not, some students resist this kind of supervision. For them is, I just want to complete my mission, which is to graduate. Okay, and you don't care about your professional development until it is too late. When you graduated, when you try to apply for jobs, then you remember, oh, I don't have nothing. I have nothing in my CV to get on the interviews. So then they will get back to me and ask, please, can we write together? Okay, so I think if you Google, you can ask Uncle Google, you can get this chart, the supervision style. Some of the students who are very active, some of the supervisor who is very active, they welcome student contact. Okay, they provide advice and they ask for opinions. They are active facilitator. Okay, if you got this kind of supervisor, you need to respect that. And if it suits your style, try to negotiate your needs and their needs. Okay. Some of the supervisors in the opposite, they don't arrange meetings. They are non-directive. They wait for students to think things through and solve problems on their own. Okay. So some would like to initiate contact. They have explicit schedules for you. They tend to be a little bit directive, which is fine. Sometimes you need that. Okay. People experiences a lot of bumps. Okay. Sometimes it's not that straight line. It's bumps here and there. Sometimes you have to change your supervisee style as well. Okay. Okay. And last one, generally disinterested. Oh, you're very not a lucky guy if you're in this supervision type of style. Unresponsive to student needs and non-directive. Now, having said that, the most important element is you. Okay. I would like to say that you need to have the right attitude to succeed. Okay. The right skills and knowledge. What do I mean by skills? Language is very important. So if you think that you are lacking in language proficiency, try to take trainings. Okay. Technical skills, for example, how to do the bibliographic thing, go to trainings, invest in yourself. Okay. Statistical analysis and qualitative analysis is very important. Try to get as much as you can. Equip yourself with all these things. These are your tools for the rest of your life, not just in your PhD life. Most of the students, when we talk about PhD, they only focus on content knowledge or knowledge about their discipline, and they ignore most of other kind of knowledge. I'll put here, there are two other knowledge that you should know and will be helpful for your PhD. The first one is understand the current issues surrounding you. You don't want, especially those from the social sciences, you don't want to do a research that is no longer recent. It's not, what do you call that? It's by the time you graduate and you wanted to publish or speak at conferences, you found that people no longer talk about it. So, why? Because you, in the first place, you don't pay attention to what is happening around you. Okay? Second is current policies. Okay, this is very important, especially when you write your chapter 1. People want to know about what is the current policy, okay, and what is your recommendation to amend the policy with your research. Okay? And you can't run away from being self-regulated learner. Okay, you need to take control of yourself and be self-disciplined. Okay. I just want to share with this, investing in yourself is the best investment you can make. Okay, so attend those trainings even though it costs a lot for now, but you will be thankful to yourself later because it will be helpful for your whole life. So if you want to do a strategic planning, do it, I will suggest this, backward design. What is backward design? You identify your goals, your end achievement first. Let's say I wanted to be a graduate, a PhD graduate in my 3rd year. So from that objectives, you make your way through it. You align it with the strategies, what you have to do by month, by year, by week, or every day. Okay? Okay. And I like to stress that you have to be a team member with your supervisor. Okay, it is a teamwork to make you success. You can't just be successful even though maybe your IQ or you are very genius, but you also need supervisor, okay, to advise you. So take of this relationship as a teamwork, okay, not alone. Maybe, okay, I think that's it for now.
Thank you, Dr. Farah. Prof. Suhaimi, you want to have some say or we open Q&A?
Suffian, actually. You see, there's a lot of books out there, all right? How to get a PhD, how to deal with your supervisor, how to complete a PhD for dummies, all right? A lot. But no one size fits all right? No one size fits all. Have you ever wondered that in your group, in your research group, that some student get along with the supervisor and you doesn't seem to get along with? Why? Because simply you can read the same book and you don't seems to get along with supervisor like the rest. Why? Because it's simply one size doesn't fit all right? And of course the other two panelists have given a lot of foods for thoughts, but I like to give a more personalized perspective on the whole thing based on my own experience supervising the students. I hope it's useful for you, regardless of whether you are from science or non-science background, right? Some tips may be applicable to you, some tips may not. It depends on your personality, depends on your supervisor personality. But the thing is this: assuming that you have passed the level of the first chemistry. Chemistry is another thing. There are a lot of chemistries that can happen, all right? There's like chemistry, love at the first sight kind of chemistry, yes. Take off at the first instance. You have up and down chemistries, the usual one, love and hate relationship with your supervisor as you go along, fine. There are also that chemistry that develop as you go along the way, and you find out you truly love your supervisor only when you finish your PhD. There are those kind of chemistries too. It depends on individuals, all right? But the most important thing is this: you need to identify. There are three main stages in the supervision of postgraduate student. The initial one, the one in the middle, and of course the end. And each of these stages has its own level of frustration, both for you and for your supervisors. All right? So if you are at the initial stage, all right, it's most important that this is the stage where you and your supervisors are gauging each other. All right? You're trying to figure out what he or she, what the style is, all right? And your supervisor also is gauging you somehow, your knowledge level, your commitment, your care, all this kind of thing. And after a while, it depends. The initial stage can last long or can last short, depends. Whether both of you somehow feels that you know each other quite well then, okay? But this is one of the most important stage, assuming that we gotten past the stage where we agreed to work together on a project, okay? This is a stage where I found that in my case, I like to talk more with my students because I like to gauge the knowledge, all right? And how they see actually the problem at their hand. This is the most important thing, because from the perspective of supervisor, they would like you to have somehow a firm grasp of what you are going to research on. This is particularly important for PhD, all right? And whether that grasp is based on solid fundamental knowledge, doesn't matter whether you're from science or non-science, fundamental knowledge is the first and foremost before we work on a problem. And whether the supervisor thinks that you need to brush up a bit more on your fundamentals, those are important. And as a student, once you know what you're going to work on, it is your responsibility to read up as much as possible or try to discuss it with your friends, those people in your field, or even people not in your field. The best thing is this, for a PhD student, if you want to get a very clear idea of what you're doing for your PhD, try to explain it to someone outside your field in the simplest of language. If you can explain it and they seems to understand that is the problem, it's worth a problem to work on, then you have a clear idea of what you're going to do your research on. I think that is the best way to the clarity inside your head on the problem you're working on. So you talk to people who are not in the field and try to explain, get them excited about it. If you can do that, then you have a clear idea of what you want to do. And then with that, you discuss with your supervisor. You talk, maybe not in a formal sense, but more like a bantering. It's like a what we call a sparring kind of thing, all right? And it doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be too serious, all right? That is the first stage of the PhD. What we want to do before you really want, as I'm from science, before you really want to get down to your experiments or whatever, these are the things you want to get solid first, okay? Because once you get that clear, you're on the right track, you will move very fast, trust me, and you will graduate on time. The thing is, if you don't get that initial stage right, clear in your head, clear in the supervisor's head, both of you are in trouble, okay? And then, of course, there's trying to distill the idea, all right? Try to make essence of this idea. Distillation can be very frustrating, all right? Because we don't know. We are embarking on something that we don't know, all right? I'll give you an example, is that you go to a room that is dark and you're supposed to feel your way around it. There's table, there's chair, and then after you get out from that room, you're supposed to draw the whole thing based on how you feel. That is how it is when we start. It doesn't really matter whether it's master's or PhD, all right? But anyway, once you get that right, the initial stage, the middle stage should be very fast, okay? But the middle stage also, as you make new findings along the way, involves some deep thinking. You must be prepared for this. Both of you and your supervisor must be prepared for some deep thinking. What is deep thinking? It depends on what your field, okay? And I cannot tell you, I cannot teach you deep thinking. You've got to find it out yourself, okay? And of course, as you move along, you have a better, understanding. At the end of the day, you want to have understanding of what you are researching on, okay? That will culminate in your writing of your papers or your thesis, and then you submit. It's actually, well, it's easier said than done. It's simpler when we say it, but this is the journey that you have to undertake, and you have to learn on the job, all right? So I can use anecdotes, all right, to tell you this and that, but it may not be necessarily applicable to you. You still have to find your way about, okay? So I think that is for the time being. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've listened to the three speakers, and interestingly, if you ask me what type of supervisor I am, my answer is, it depends on the student. I can be very authoritarian, right? Telling you this, because I actually also evaluate the students first. I may be laissez-faire with another one because I know he or she is able to do or capable of minimal supervision. So the style of the supervisors actually change who the supervisor is. Right? Somebody was telling me, how come when you supervise this one, you don't get angry, you don't this one, you know, smooth sailing, and when you are supervising me, your voice is always, okay, and your blood pressure, you know, you take your blood pressure medicine, right? Different students, different way that we supervise, because you are different. You have different abilities, different skills, different knowledge, okay? I think also from the discussion, we also get some tips how we should manage students. You know, I always tell my students, look, I went through the journey, same like you also, all right? So we understand. Some students say, oh, Prof, you don't understand. I have personal problems and so on and so forth. We went through the same journey with you. So these are some things that we can share with the students. Okay, I would like to invite questions. I know there are also lecturers here, so-called young lecturers who have not been in service for more than 8 years. You are supposed to be our, this one, you know, GOT later will all actually depend on you. Any questions? Either from students or lecturers? Okay. Before you think of the question, before that, I just like to also share with you this. You know, as we all say, PhD is a journey, or you're doing research is a journey. I always tell my students, if you begin and you already see the light at the end of the tunnel, that's not research. Okay? To me, that's more consultancy, because you know what you want, right? Or you know what to expect. So it's supposed to be a journey. A journey, just like in life, ups and downs. Okay? For the social science, I think even science, when you do your literature review, right? And you read 10 articles. You come, okay, this is what I want. You read another 10 articles, this is what. And then after 30 articles, you come to me or your supervisors says, Prof, I'm lost. I say, why are you lost? A says this, B says that, C says this. So who do I follow? Right? And I always tell my students when they come to me, I say, congratulations. At first, some students cannot take it. God, I'm telling her my problem. I'm telling her this is what I face, and I say congratulations. You know why I say congratulations? That means, that shows that you have read, okay? You have read enough, okay, to see counter arguments. So I say congratulations. But if you say you read 30 articles and still on A, you have not done or read enough. I don't know whether you agree with me, but I always wait to say congratulations to my student. And sometimes I seldom get to say that. Yeah? Okay. Any questions? Any questions? I'm desperate for questions. If I'm in class, I would say, if you ask me questions, I give you extra points. FPP students. I'm trying to recall your name. I see your face. Okay, can go to the mic. Madam mic, sit up. You can go to the mic. Is there a mic there? Can you just state your name and from which faculty?
Okay, thank you. I'm just thinking of the question on the go as well in my head. My name is Amira. I'm from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. I guess my question is from both a supervisor and a supervisee point of view. I'm a supervisor now. At one point of time, not so long ago, I was a supervisee. And my supervisor, my PhD supervisor, when she was supervising me, she had 9 students. And I thought that was a lot, and I felt that she should have maybe just 5 so that she could focus on all of us. And she often confused our research with one another. She confused my research with my friend's research, and sometimes that would end up in us looking at literature that really it was supposed to be our other colleague who was supposed to look at that literature. So that happens sometimes with my supervisor. Now, as a supervisor myself, I have in total, I can't remember right now, but that many, but including, not including my undergraduate supervision, just my postgraduate supervision, I have more than half a dozen. In total, I think I have about 25 students, including undergraduate supervision students. So my question, if anybody has any tips for both students, how to deal with a supervisor who has so many other students and don't have time for you or forget you or confuse your work with somebody else. So that's from the student perspective. And the other is maybe from my fellow colleagues, if you have any advice on how, as a supervisor, we can be fair to all of our students and give them the appropriate timing guidance.
Okay, first, before I pass the mic to the rest of the panel, this is where it's a chicken and egg, because yes, we want to produce many PhD students, but again, the question of quality versus quantity. For the business faculty, Alhamdulillah, because we are governed also by our accreditation bodies. So, as a head of accreditation, I don't allow anybody to have more than 6 use. And people complain, why? And they say, Prof. Ainin says cannot. See, I'm going to retire very soon. So, there we have heard, success. I think even from education, she managed to, in one of the graduation ceremony, she graduated, I think, 10 students in one graduation ceremony. I actually asked, how do you do that? And she said she has meetings with all the groups, with all her students, 10 of them, and okay, you present. What are you doing? So that all the students are aware of what the other is doing, so that there is no overlaps. That's one way. But finding, and she told me that she allocates this particular day in a month where she does that. So I think it works, because I've seen her students graduate, and I know she has many students. Right? That's one. But maybe social science is easier. Right?
Thank you for the question. I think this is the case where you bite more than you can chew. I think for a PhD student at one time, a good number, probably about 5 or 6, all right? More than that, you will have problems, because, as I said, particularly for PhD, it's not only the student who are involved in deep thinking, the supervisors also, because you're working on the problem of your interests, okay? And, but in sciences, it depends also. If you have big grants, all right, and you have postdocs, fine, you can delegate some of the work to the postdoc. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury myself. So far, whatever that is done by myself. So that's why I think at any one time, 5 or 6 would be good for PhD, ideal. For masters, probably about the same numbers, okay? And of course, I don't know, probably in science it's a bit difficult to jumble up your students' project because they are doing a really different work, very specific, or very. So so far myself, I'm maybe not the best person to talk about this jumbling up because I've not experienced it myself. All right.
Hi, I echo what Professor Suffian said. From the sciences point of view, we don't have the luxury to have so many students simply because our grant situation may not allow such a thing to happen. Because every time we take in a student, we have to ensure that the money is enough to purchase whatever is required for all the experiments. Also to ensure that the project is not stopped halfway. We have, as supervisors, we have to see through, not just scientifically, we have to see through financially as well. If we feel that our money may not last so long, then we don't take in a PhD, we take in a master's. That is to help both the students and ourselves to gauge the entire project. So yeah, we try not to, what did we say just now? Bite more than we can chew. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't believe that one size fits all. Okay, and we have heard about this term so many times today, kan? Okay, so I think if that person has the capability of supervising more than the standard number of students, why not? Okay, but you have to know the past history. Okay, whether this person has already show you the evidences that she can. So if that person is capable of doing so, I think the university should allow it. Why not? Okay. For example, say that as a supervisor, I actually work very fast with my students. You send me email containing your chapter, I can reply back to you with detailed comments, and I do give detailed comments, constructive feedback to you in 3 days or 5 days. So my students are just like, you know, I like to do that. I'm immersed in their research because we are teamwork. We are doing teamwork. We are a team. Okay, whatever he or she is doing, I am doing it too. Whatever she is embarking on a journey, I wanted to be part of it. Okay, so my students and me is just like a good partner. Okay, so they found out something interesting like literature, they will say, I found this, doctor. So I'll read it and then we'll discuss. And it doesn't have to be face-to-face platform for you to meet your supervisor. You have all the technologies in the world and the software. Why not use it? Okay. But I also have to say that not all supervisors are like myself. Okay. Or not everyone is capable of doing it. Okay. You still, as a university, I do understand, and I also I'm also an administrator myself, so I do understand that we need to have like a average that can fit everyone. But the flexibility should be there. So there are a lot of strategies that you can do so that you will not mix up your students' works. But actually, I also have that kind of, sometimes I have that issues as well. Don't mix up, but I feel like this person's literature review can be helpful to that person. So we always have these meetings together as well. So remember I said earlier that PhD is a lonely journey. may not be that lonely. You have to build up your community of practice, and that include your supervisor and also your peers. You can also include the librarians, the IPS people. Okay, everybody can be part of your community. So, do I answer a question? But anyway, I just want to say that one size doesn't fit all, but you can go beyond the requirement if you can show the evidence that you are good.
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm Asadul Zaman, fourth semester PhD student in business faculty. Often we have two supervisors, whether you can say co-supervisor, first supervisor, second supervisor, conflicting demands. As a student, I find that someone is really demanding something that other one must, it's a must that he or she will never accept that. Then as a student, really nothing out other than crying out. So what do you suggest in that case?
Okay, thank you. I think FPP is one of the faculties that have two supervisors. It's not to make your life miserable, but because based on our accreditation, we're actually facilitating those supervisors that do not have yet to graduate any students. We don't allow them to supervise on their own. Therefore, we have, two, okay? Ideally, one senior, one junior, all right? Or, but we don't have so many seniors in the faculty. So in the end, my practice has always been meeting both of us together. Do not see your supervisor one at a time. Make sure you see them together. They should sit down together, and we should actually decide together. I always tell this to students, it is your PhD, it's not your supervisors. We are just there to guide you. We are just to take your hand along. But at the end, it's your PhD. Because you have to justify why your construct is as such, why your framework is as such, not your supervisors. Okay? But if you do have problems, that's why sometimes when they pair people, I sometimes raise. Not because I don't like them or anything personal, because I see there are two different, so we can actually see. So if you have such problems, go and see, Dr. Hughes is here, go and see her. But my advice is, see them together. You manage your supervisors. Why do I say that? All right? Because when you want to set appointment, one says, I cannot make it on Monday. One says, I cannot make it on Tuesday. One says, I only comes in the evening. So if you want to see me in the evening, you manage them. What I did before was, I actually put down, okay, when you are free. All right? And I went and see individuals, okay, when you are free, all right? I see the common time is this. So they cannot say they are not free because they have given me their times, right? So that's how you manage. You must see them together, right? Because we always have our own opinions, right? Most of you all supervise alone, is it?
I normally supervise alone, but there are instances that I have co-supervisors. But anyway, this is it. I like the word manage just now. You see, this is when you have two very contrasting personalities like that. the best PhD student will come out being able to make use of those personality to their advantage and get their PhD. All right? It depends on your personality, how you handle them. All right? I cannot tell you this is the way to do it, but if you do get your PhD from these two different camps, you're good. Okay? That is the thing. But if you're supposed, the three of you is supposed to be in one camp, but if it turns out to be two camps and it is untenable, irreconcilable, requires IPS to remove one of them. I mean, there's no point, all right? There is no point slugging through it. Just request to remove or change your project. Don't waste time, okay?
From a science point of view, usually when we take in a student, we already, your co-supervisors, well, at least for mine, my co-supervisors will already be my co-investigator in my grant. So that would already be, we are already a team. Rarely does this kind of case happen, because as co-investigators of the same project, we are running it together. So we are to actually follow the milestones and the timelines as how we have proposed. So well, it happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It happens because we are all individuals. We all want to do things our way. So, but what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't happen too often. Or when it does happen, I would like, if there are any supervisors here, I would like for us to make it easier for the student not to pick sides. Because the students are here to learn from us. So we should portray ourselves as a team, so that the students know that teamwork is like this, and not like, you know, the other way. So we need to show ourselves as an example first, so that the students can go out in their career to say that, hey, you know, my supervisors work really well together. I should have, like, I should do it like this too. Then we are modeling for them, which would be an ideal case. Thank you.
Okay, just a quick one. I just want to share my experience. I got my PhD from Iowa State University, USA. And I don't get 2 supervisors, I got 5 professors in my committee. 5, can you imagine? Sometimes 6. Okay, but as Prof. Isnin used the word manage, this is something that is very important. Maybe students in US are trained to manage their time, their goals, okay? So oftentimes, when I wanted to get opinion from all, I will contact them, I will initiate the meetings, I will do everything as a student. Okay, I know their schedule, what time they are free, and then I will tell them, these are my agenda, would you be free? And I'll give them, I use Doodle sometimes. So these professors, they are human beings, okay? They have hearts. It depends on how you talk to them, communicate your needs with them. They can be very helpful, okay? Secondly, you need to be very proactive yourself, okay? Sometimes 2 supervisors cannot meet at the same time, but you make a clear thing. Don't make any miscommunication. You will say to the first supervisor that I will only talk about this method with Professor A, okay? And then report back what you have discussed. If you have it on writing, it's even better when you discuss with Professor B. So if you cannot have 2 people in one meeting, that's what the least you can do. And supervisors themselves have to play a role. Okay, for example, when I do co-supervision, and in my faculty, it is compulsory to be co-supervising students. Yeah? So we will know that my area is, say, instructional technology, that person is methodology. So known in the very beginning what kind of expertise that we are going to be helping the students with. So we don't, I think we rarely have this case. But as Prof. Suffian said, if you do have the case, you can't do anything else than to change your supervisor if that's the best for you. Okay?
Changing supervisor is an option, but I always believe this, yeah. You know, for all you know, you go to get another supervisor that is even worse, right? So I always believe this: if you have, you know, in your career, in your journey, sometimes you have they have conflicting points, right? You as a student should take it positively and look, okay, Supervisor A says this, find a literature that supports that. Supervisor B says this, and literature shows that it's not the case. So find literature, write down why you are countering their ideas. That's one way. That's what I did to my supervisor. I don't dare to say, Prof, I don't want to follow what you say, you know, but write it. All right, in your literature, write it. Writing should not be towards the end. Right. All right. Counter. Find literature that supports what you want to do in the end. It's not their PhD. Remember, as supervisors, yeah, I always keep reminding myself, I'm not the one doing PhD. You are the one. It's your PhD. Yes, Amira.
I think this is the last questions for this session. Yes? Oh, okay.
Perhaps after this we can have one more students before I start picking up names. Those that I know. Later. Okay. After
thank you.
After one last question. Belakang.
Sorry, I'm actually raising my hand twice. I just really wanted to share about the question about dealing with two contradictory supervisors. From a student perspective, not from a supervisor perspective, because I think the panel has already addressed that, but from a student perspective, I have one really great student who has two supervisors, me and another supervisor. So she is really wonderful at managing both of us because both of us are very busy and very, very disorganized with our time. So what she does is that she actually set up a WhatsApp group. And in the WhatsApp group, it's me, the other supervisor, and herself. I do all my supervision via WhatsApp. Maybe some supervisors might be open to that, so you can ask them as well. So what my student does is that she would always ask questions in the WhatsApp group. So if one of us answers, the other one is aware. If the other one disagrees, they can either disagree in the WhatsApp or the other supervisor and I might discuss separately. And at times, when the student feels that she needs to talk to just one of us individually, she will approach us. Usually, it's always via WhatsApp, but sometimes we meet or sometimes we talk on the phone. And whatever that, for example, she and I have discussed or agreed on, she will then send out a WhatsApp, or in another case, you could do an email as well to the group, or she can send out an email to both supervisors, noting down everything that was agreed on during the individual session with the other supervisor. So that can be, hopefully, that might help a bit.
One last question, the gentleman, yeah, is there a mic there? Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Usu Oluwase. I'm from computer science. I want to say I have two supervisors too. When I came, this is my 5th semester, they will ask me to do a particular work in which I will do. The first supervisor will ask me to work on a particular area in which I will do it. The second one will say, no, Usu, that's not the way I asked you to do it. I will do it again. On one occasion like this, I was stressed up to the extent that I now sent a text. Look, based on what my brother asked, I sent a text that, Prof, I'm convinced here. I don't even know where to go. You know, the other prof now said, Usu, okay, what is there is that we need to meet. That's why I want to agree with you, man, that we can meet together. So if A is saying A, they will all go together. So that is what we did. And the second question I have is that I want to ask, is it compulsory for a student to always go in line with the area of interest of the supervisor? You as a student, maybe in your country, you are sponsored by your country or institution to go for a particular research topic. But on coming to the university, you notice that your supervisor is on another area. In that area, in that case, what can you do? Because you have told your supervisor that this is the area that you want to work on. But your supervisor said, well, this is the area we are working on. But if you still want to work with us, so be it. Because I could remember when I was coming, I chose my supervisor right from my country, Nigeria, 2 of them. Because I was told that I can pick 2 supervisors. 2 of them, I want to thank God that I choose them. Because I've learned a lot from them, a lot. So I want to say, because some of my friends, on coming here, they have a particular topic they want to work on, area they want to work on. But on getting here, they find out that their supervisor is on another area. What can such a student do? Thank you.
Okay. That's very tough to answer. First and foremost, it's actually depending on the various faculty, how supervisors are actually allocated. In IPS also, there are different methods of how supervisors are actually allocated. In IPS, IGS, one of it is that there are 2 supervisors with 2 different disciplines. So that is much easier. In my faculty, sometimes we appoint 2 supervisors from the same department, therefore conflicting, and that's what you say. You know, I tell my younger staff that it's your PhD, so within the area that you get sponsorship and so on. But again, you know, you have to follow along with what the supervisor's area also. But to me, it's a bigger area. For example, for us, the area is marketing. So anything within marketing, we should be able to supervise. But like science, it depends on their grants. So because you need the equipment, so in science, and you know, it's a bit different. Okay, maybe computer science is also a bit different. It depends on whether you are dependent on the supervisor for financial, or dependent on the departments to provide you equipments. And the university doesn't buy equipment like that, right? University buy equipments through research grants. So therefore, you know, it must be in the same area. But social science is a bit different. So we have a big area, and then we have sub-disciplines. So maybe, you know, in social science, it's much easier that you work on a particular area of your own. But in sciences, because of the equipments, the materials, it needs to be in line with the supervisor's grant. Okay. Okay, I'm answering because I know the MC is looking at me to wrap up. Okay. Okay, I hope that it has been a useful session for you. It has been a useful session for me also, because I also learn new things. You know, I at least now try to figure out what's my style of supervision. All right. So I hope we actually go back thinking of ways to actually improve ourselves, and the target, GOT. Some students ask me, is it possible? We have heard in the morning, it is possible. I have had students who have gone through GOT. I'm pushing for one now. I don't see him here, right? So I'm pushing for one, right? But then again, everything is two ways. If you work hard, I always believe if you work hard, your supervisor has to work hard. Okay, if you give something for your supervisor to read, your supervisor, whether he or she likes it or not, has to read and return feedback. Time frame too, maybe I don't take so short as Dr. Farah. Maybe mine is 2 weeks, right? But if the student works hard, the supervisor will work hard also. Hopefully, in the ideal situation. But if you as student, you keep quiet, you don't do, you keep quiet, do your own work, and then at the end of 3 months, bam, 2 chapters, then we will give you feedback. That thing also for you to do all your corrections, right? So it is a two-way communication. It's a two-way relationship, just like all what speakers have actually mentioned. Okay, thank you. Again, I hope that you had a fruitful session. All right, you can actually approach any of them to ask for any more tips. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Isnin Sulaiman, for conducting such an interesting forum just now. So as a token of our appreciation, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Mohamed Faizal Igani, Deputy Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to the stage to present the souvenirs to the moderator and the panelists for the forum just now. With that, please welcome Professor Dr. Isnin Sulaiman. Professor Dr. Muhammad Suffian Muhammad Anwar. Associate Professor Dr. Feng Xin Yi. And Dr. Farah Dina Yusof. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faza, for the souvenir giving session just now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue our session with the next forum. As we have heard on the tips to graduate on time on the supervisor's perspective, let's hear it from the supervisor's points of view as well. So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Fazrul Muhammad Razif from Faculty of Medicine as the moderator to introduce the panelists for the forum Tips to Graduate on Time, Graduate's Perspective. Please welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are all awake, excited. This is going to be hopefully the most interesting bit. Okay, so I'm Dr. Fazrul from the Department of Molecular Medicine. I would like to think myself as a fresh graduate. I actually finished my PhD about 4 years ago. And I remember when I was embarking my PhD, I read somewhere that 1 in 4 supervisors are terrible. So I was like, oh my God, I hope I pick a good supervisor, But it could simply just boil down to communication issues. And my journey as a student to where I am now as a supervisor has been a very interesting one. A lot of self-learning, self-discovery, living the type of person I am. So I'd like now to invite the panel. We have Dr. Mohamed Mahedi from the Faculty of Economics. We have Dr. Khairul Anwar from the Faculty of Science and Dr. Chong Chun Yong from the Faculty of Computer Science. They all graduated on time. So let's pick their brains. All right, good afternoon, guys. I think the first thing that I want everyone to share with the rest of the people here is, I guess, a little bit of your background, what you studied in, how long did it take for you to graduate, and maybe your personal experiences, challenging times, the fairy tale story or the horror story. Everything, free for all, yeah? All right, can I start with you, Dr. Chong?
All right, thank you everyone. So I'm Dr. Chong. So I actually completed my PhD about 2 years back, around 2016. So it took me about 2 years and about 9 to 10 months to complete my PhD studies. So my main research area is in software engineering. Currently, I'm actually working as a lecturer at Monash University, Malaysia. So to share about some of the good experience that I had with my supervisor, mainly I'm fortunate to have a very caring supervisor, and she actually paid a lot of attention to me as well. So to be honest, my research is actually a continuation from my master degree. So I think that actually helps me in a way to focus on the scope after I have finished my master degree. So it saved me a lot of time to actually do the preliminary literature reviews, because I already have a very good idea what are the things that I have to focus on. So that will be, I would say, probably one of the advantage I have over the other candidates. Apart from that, I always have this, tell myself that I have to meet with my supervisor at least once per week, actually. So to ensure that the supervisor actually know what I'm doing, and to let, even if certain times where I'm slow or I have some difficulties in progressing my work, I will actually be honest and let her know, to actually have a good idea, let her have a good idea that what am I doing right now, because at any point of time, I think she's supervising 4 to 5 other PhD candidates as well. So I think a good communication between the students and supervisor is one of the key criteria to ensure that we have a smooth sailing throughout the journey as well. All right, so
Hello, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Issa. I just received my degree last year in October. I finished within about 5 years. And now I'm currently working I'm doing my research fellowship as a postdoc in ISB, Faculty of Science. So during my study, there's no fairy tale. It's only a big issue with my co-supervisor. But what I did is I asked her to remove me as a student because I cannot have a good relationship with her. So I hope she's not here. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Right off the bat, I'd like to thank IPS for organizing such a wonderful seminar. So it's a really great privilege for me to have this opportunity to share my experience. So actually, I have started my journey by end of 2012 at the Faculty of Economics, and graduated by end of 2015. So it was quite long journey for 3 years or 6 semesters. So I have learned many things from my PhD program, because PhD trained me how to work harder than anything else, and how to solve the problems, how to handle the difficult situation. And also it taught me how to get things done. Yeah, so we need to keep in mind that PhD journey is not really smooth. Okay, there is ups and downs. Sometimes my supervisor brought me up, sometimes put me down. So it is the normal process of getting or learning PhD. So the main important things that how you communicate or how you manage. Many words you can use, how to handle your supervisor, how to manage, how to communicate. This is the most important word, is how to communicate with your supervisor effectively. So sometimes we are facing many problems. So let's, at the beginning of my PhD, actually I had 2 supervisors. I got the same problem, the brother raised the question, yeah. So So both of them have different opinion regarding my research topic. So how to convince them? So it was challenging for me. So I tried to convince them to sit together. So I follow the technique of Professor Isnin Sulaiman. So I tried to convince them to sit together, and I discussed. And within 3 months, I have finalized my research topic. Because I think this is the very difficult part of getting or graduating on time, the starting point. So as a PhD student, the starting point is your research topic. So if we cannot finalize our research topic within first 3 months, so we'll be in trouble. So I try to finalize my research topic within 3 months, but these 3 months I didn't waste, okay? I try to figure out my weaknesses. So it is, if you can figure out your weaknesses, it is easy to develop yourself. So these 3 months, I try to, attend to the colloquium at the faculty level. Then I try to read some articles related to my research area. And also I discuss with my friends, and I read some dissertation, how to write a thesis to get idea. So it helped me a lot. So if you have the similar kind of problems, so you can follow this technique. Try to sit together with your both supervisors, communicate effectively. So actually I had a PowerPoint slide to show you how to communicate with your supervisors effectively. I don't know, should I? Yeah. Can you move to next slide? Okay. So, actually, we have planned to do PhD. So, everybody has motivational factors. So, why did I decide to get a PhD? Or what motivates me to get a PhD? So, basically, I had 2 motivational factors. Number 1, to be an academician. And PhD is the highest academic degree. My father was a teacher, so I was influenced by my father, to be a teacher. And second motivational factor was to be a good researcher, to enhance my knowledge. This is because PhD will introduce you into a research world, and this is the gateway to enter into research world. And PhD will guide you for your future research. So that's why I decided to do PhD. But some might have different, purpose or different motivational factors. Let's say to get a promotion, so you need a PhD degree. So let's say you are not getting a suitable job after completing your master's degree, so you continue your study. Or maybe you have another reason. Let's say that it's your hobby, that some people will call you a doctor, so you feel something. Or maybe some other political reason, Because, just let me tell you something interesting, make it interesting, okay? So, in my country, we have 2 types of politician, One is educated, another one is non-educated. So the non-educated politician, they used to perform Hajj before election because they will put Al-Hajj before their name, or Haji, okay? But we have educated politician. Nowadays, they started to buy a PhD degree from online. So the Anti-Corruption Commission has identified 8,000 fake PhD holders in my country. And 5,000, out of 8,000, 5,000 from World University of America. So I hope you are not in this category. So you have the original genuine purpose to enhance your knowledge or to be an academician. So that's why, I have decided to get a PhD degree. So to reach your destination, of course, whatever reason you have chosen to do PhD, so your main objective or main goals to accomplish PhD, okay? So you have actually not two options, you have three options, okay? So number one option, to graduate on time, okay? Second option, not graduating on time, okay? And third option, not graduating at all. So you are the decision maker here, okay? Not your supervisor. You have to decide you want to graduate on time or not. So you are the decision maker. So you have to have a goal, okay? That within 3 years or 6 semesters, I want to graduate. Sorry. So once you have a goal, you must have a strong determination. And determination will motivate you to reach your destination. So beside determination, you must have your dedication. So determination and dedication will help you to reach your destination. So once I started my PhD, so I made a plan, okay? So this is my own plan. So just to share with you, so I finalized my research topic within 3 months, as I told you. Then I did my proposal defense by 6 months, and I have completed my chapter 1, 2, 3 by first year. Then data collection by 4 months, then analyzing, discussion, and so on. And I faced Viva Voice by 36 months, okay? So this is my working plan. So I had a plan actually based daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis plan. So daily I started with doing something. So before the day, I make a plan what I'm going to do the next day, okay? So is I stopped my brain not to work and not to going over and over the thesis at night, okay? So mentally, I close the day. And I keep something to start the next day, which is easy for me to start, okay? So, and for the publication, just to share with you, because if I talk about how to publish, then we need to conduct another workshop, but don't worry, the IPS used to organize a workshop how to publish. So at the beginning, the 6 months, you are working with your literature review. You are writing your conceptual framework. You are writing your theoretical framework. So based on that, you can write on review paper, okay, within 6 months, okay? Then by 12 months, you will finish your 3 chapters, chapter 1, 2, 3, I mean the proposal, literature review, methodology. So based on this, you can write on methodological paper. This is what I did, okay? Then second year, I collect the data at the beginning of the year. Then based on my research objective, I try to analyze and write one manuscript, submit it to the journals. Okay, then second objective, I did the analysis and submitted to the journal, and so on, okay? And third year, you have to wait for having rejection, accepting, and correction. So is the normal process. Because if you cannot manage it by second year to get published, you will be in trouble. Because in social science, to get published, to get an acceptance, at least we need minimum 6 months. But sometimes it's more than 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, okay? So if you cannot manage it, this is the requirement, I think, on ISI or through Scopas. So if you don't work from the beginning, you will be in trouble. Yeah, another most important component during PhD, you have to manage your time. So that if you time management requires 3 things: the self-discipline, self-control, self-mastery. So you have to be disciplined. You need to discipline your mind. And also you have to control yourself. Sometimes you will have many interruptions by your friends, by social media, by other means. So you have to know how to control yourself. And if you can manage your time, there are many benefits. Number one, you can graduate on time. Then also you will have less stress because you manage your time. So if you can reach each milestone on the one time, okay? So you will have less stress. And also you will have less rework because you will make less mistake. If you have a fresh mind, so you will make a mistake, but less mistakes. So it will require less rework, okay? And get more done. You will be more productive if you manage your time. Then less life friction and problems, okay? If you are under stress, if you have under pressure, then maybe you will forget the appointment with your supervisor. So supervisor will be angry and you will be in trouble. Or maybe you miss the dating date with your girlfriend, you know, so maybe, so you, it may break up your relationship, okay? So if you manage your time, so it will reduce the friction, life friction, okay? Then less time waste, of course, many opportunities, okay? So if you manage your time, you can give some extra time for publication or something else. You know, during my PhD, beside my PhD, I managed to publish 15 ISI. So you will get more opportunities if you manage your time because you will have a plenty of time. So you can do something extra, okay? Then less effort. Some people, you know, think if you manage your time, then you need to work harder and longer. Actually, no. The time management will make you smarter to accomplish your PhD, okay? Then improve decision-making ability if your mind is fresh. So if you have a 3 option, so you may choose the right option, okay? But if you are under stress, maybe you will choose the wrong option, okay? And more time where it matters. Sometimes maybe you are weak in methodological part, or sometimes you are weak in how to develop the conceptual framework. So you can give more time there, okay? Where it's necessary, okay? So how did I manage my time? Okay, this is the important things. So basically, you know, you have to identify. I identified what are the things killing my time. Okay, who is robbing my time? Okay, so I have identified some of my friends. Okay, so during the so whoever, it can be your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Okay, whoever killing your time, you have to manage or you have to avoid. Okay. Then sometimes, you know, social media is taking our time. So at this stage, you have to control yourself. You have to manage yourself, okay? And sometimes, you know, during my PhD, just to share with you, I didn't use the PhD lab too much. I use, but not too much, because, you know, whenever I sit at my desk, the next desk is my friend, you know, he wearing the headphone and listening to the music and watching the Hindi movie. And I'm asking, what are you doing, guy? I'm doing literature review, or I'm working chapter 1 or 2, something like this. How did you concentrate? You are watching movie, you know, so, you know, I cannot, you know, is one kind of cheating, you know, yourself. I'm cheating with myself, okay? So sometimes it happens. You know, sometimes, you know, one of my friend next to me, you know, he used to eat the chips, the something inside the plastic packet, you know, is eating and, you know, watching and writing. I don't know how they can do it. I cannot do it. That's why, you know, I avoid to be in the lab. So I made in, you know, house library, you know. So I used to work in my house, okay? When is necessary, I come to see my supervisor and library, okay, and I need to collect the book. So this is the way, you know, I manage my time. This is the difficult part, how to manage your supervisor, okay? So number 1 is good, effective way to manage your supervisor. You have to be resourceful. How to be resourceful? Read. Read the articles, books related to your research topic. Then you will be clear what is your problem, okay? If you are not clear about your problems, how you will communicate with your supervisor, okay? So you have to be resourceful. Sometimes, you know, you cannot never say no to your supervisor. You know, don't make an excuse to your supervisor. Because sometimes, you know, supervisor offers some extra job. So supervisor will ask you politely, can you do me a favor? Are you busy? Can you manage your time? This. So you will think, okay, this is not related to my research topic, so why should I waste my time? So you will avoid, okay? You say, Prof, I have something to do, So you will do the first time, second time, third time, supervisor is observing, okay? So it can create the negative impression on you, okay? But what I did, I take that offer, and this is the great chance, the opportunity for me to be closer with my supervisor, So if you be closer to your supervisor, it will help a lot. Then you can explain your problems, okay, time to time, Then sometimes, it never be late. If you have any appointment with your supervisor, be on time. Otherwise, so these are the technique I used to follow, to manage my supervisor or to communicate with my supervisor. I'm taking long time. Okay, let me share some common mistakes by PhD students. Misunderstood the role of supervisor. At the beginning of my PhD, I thought that my supervisor will write everything for me. Okay, so my supervisor will write my problem statement, my research objective, research question, literature review, everything, okay? But actually, no, supervisor will guide you, okay? You have your PhD, you have to do your PhD, okay? This is your headache, okay? To do a PhD or to graduate on time, it's not your PhD, your supervisor's headache, okay? So once you get a headache, what do you do normally? We go to the clinic. So the clinic is your supervisor office. But before going to clinic, try to get cured by your home remedy, okay? Ask your friend, okay? How to solve this problem. You can ask your Google uncle, search on YouTube, okay? And go to library, okay? Then you try to solve your problem, or you become resourceful, clearly about your problems. Then if you think that is not enough, then try to meet your supervisor, and you explain that I did this, I got this. Then as Prof. Ainin Sulaiman said, I said, congratulations. So then your supervisor will say, congratulations, you have given your effort, okay? And as I told you earlier, that never say no to supervisor skill. And sometimes you have egoistic problems, because we have some senior PhD students. Let's say they are the associate professor in other university. Or maybe, we have some, government service officer, they are holding the big position. It's happening, So they feel, she is also senior lecturer, he is also senior lecturer or assistant professor. I'm also the same rank, So, and try to be, very smart, and feel that he is more knowledgeable, something like this. So please, kill your ego for 3 years, okay? If you want to graduate one time. Then sometimes we cannot figure out our own weaknesses, okay? We have many weaknesses, okay? So please try to figure out your weaknesses and try to develop those. So based on this discussion, actually I have shortened my, okay? So based on this discussion, I developed this research model, is adapted from ASEAN. So first determinant is awareness of PhD program. Of course, you should have awareness. What is PhD? Yeah, some people say PhD stands for permanent head damage or Pizza Hut delivery, whatever it is. So you should know the design of the program, how many semesters will take, how many coursework, what you have to do. So you should be aware of the program. Then you should have knowledge of PhD program. At least you should have the basic knowledge, because before applying for PhD, you had to write proposal. So you know what is problem statement, research question, objectives, okay, how to do the literature review. At least you have a basic knowledge of doing PhD. Then determination, as I told you, you must have the strong determination. So determination will help you to achieve to reach your destination. Then planning to graduate one time, you must have the plan. It could be daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. So if you follow your daily plan, so the rest will work automatically. Then motivational factor, as I told you, that if you want to be a good researcher, if you want to enhance your knowledge, then self-control, self-discipline. You have to control yourself. You have to learn. You know, I read one book, something like this. If you want to become rich, then you have to learn to say no, something like this. So, you know, self-control. So sometimes you have to say no to your friends, okay? Your friend will say, hey, let's go to, let's have a tea, or let's go somewhere, you know, to have a shisha or something like this, you know? So sometimes, you know, you have to say no. You have to know how to say no, okay? Then time management, as I told you, this is the very important component to manage your time to graduate on time. Then supervisor's role, okay? Of course, supervisors also play a significant role to graduate on time. And financial status, sometimes, you know, if you have a scholarship, it can motivate you if you have the fund grant, okay? So if you don't have, so it maybe it becomes, you know, hurdle on the way to achieve, you know, PhD or something like that. So all these determinants will influence the willingness to GOT, the graduate on time. And finally, the willingness will influence working to graduate on time. So that's all for me, and this is the slogan, last slogan for you. Manage your time, graduate on time, enjoy every moment of your life. Have a smooth journey of PhD. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mohamed. So, as you can see, the most important thing at this point is time management, okay? I mean, I think when I was doing my PhD, I never thought, like the thought of graduating on time was never at the back of my head. I remember my supervisor had a different style. I mean, we've had the panelists before saying that, you know, the important thing is you start writing from the get-go. Every day you keep track and do your literature review. That was how I thought I was gonna jump into my PhD, because I went to my supervisors. I was like, okay, so do you want me to write a literature review today? I can give it to you in a month. And they're like, nope. You sit in the lab and you do your work for 3 years. And all I want you to just sit. I want to see you by the bench for 3 years just doing your lab work. And then I'm like, but when am I going to write? She's like, it's okay. You have 3 months. As soon as this 3-month point is up, 3 years point is up, off you go into the office and write your thesis. So that's what I did. Obviously, that still gave me anxiety because I was like, oh my God, I really need to write. But that, I think, was something that was unexpected from my supervisors. I mean, they've been very supportive. I remember when I was writing my thesis, even my supervisor's like, okay, I'm going to go in the lab to do some work for you. I'm like, but I can't do it. He's like, no, you write your thesis. So I'm very thankful for that. Want to ask Dr. Chong, you had a little bit of a head start, that's why you could finish earlier. What would you say was the most memorable thing that you could take from your experience with your PhD, may it be with your supervisor, may it be with the project that you were doing, or about yourself even?
Well, I think definitely the most memorable lesson or experience will be the way my supervisor has been coaching me on the way how to write proper academic papers, especially how to construct proper sentences, how to construct proper flow of the papers. All right. So because I do understand that there are different types of supervisors and there are so many types of students as well. So I'm very fortunate that my supervisor is a type of very caring supervisor, as in she will actually sit down together with me, try to correct the paper with me, sentence by sentence, word by word, because this is what she told me, that she want me to learn so that in the future she don't have to waste time correcting all these mistakes for me again. So this process actually helps me a lot, and well, I feel guilty in a way because I'm wasting a lot of my supervisor's time. So I try my best to actually learn from process, and by the time when I was in 3rd year, I would typically need about 1 or 2 rounds of revision before my supervisor is satisfied with my paper or my thesis. So I think that is one of the biggest lessons I learned throughout the whole duration, and I really appreciate the support and help I got from my supervisor as well. Right.
Thank you. Dr. Khairul, so you said that your journey during your PhD was not a fairy tale at all. So maybe you can share with everyone, maybe what were the challenges that you actually faced and how you personally dealt with it and how did you overcome it?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fazrul. Actually, I have a slide to share my experience during PhD. I promise it won't be long. So since I just graduated last year, this is a fresh experience. So actually, my research is about development of polymeric nanoparticle. It's a combination of my interest and my supervisor's interest. I would like to do encapsulation system, and he would like to do the biopolymer. He is interested in biopolymer. And then I choose a simple, common technology that most importantly cheap. So what I did is I optimized the ratio, the surfactant, the water, and all. And then, actually, I have tip towards the end, but I need to share this first. So at first, I do have some difficulty because I only have able to incorporate less MCFPHA into my system, which is about 2.5. It's barely adding. It's barely like adding MCFPHA to the system, but I have an idea how to reduce the molecular weight, and I get more amount of MCLPHA to be incorporated, and I get more greedy, and I reduce the molecular weight lower, and I get a high amount. However, adding high amount of MCLPHA with low molecular weight has no effect. So overall, what can I say is that my data collection was not interesting at all, but I didn't give up. I do a lot of reading. I keep trying to find the reason why. So somehow I managed to write 3 manuscripts. So 1 manuscript represents 1 story. So the first story is about how describing how I incorporate the polymer into the system. And then the second story, I propose a mechanism, how did I get the polymeric nanoparticle. And then the third story is about the effect of molecular weight towards the inversion mechanism. So the question, the big question, of course, back then was, will any of my 3 stories will be accepted for publication? Because in reality, it is hard for people. It's hard to get people to like your idea. So for we need 2 papers to graduate, right? So the answer is yes. I got 3 of them 3 of my story get accepted, and I'll become. And when I feel more confident, and I'll get what we call more competent in writing skill, I think I develop more. What I develop more during my research is writing skill. I wrote 1 more story, and shockingly, it got accepted within 2 weeks. So this paper is about describing the temperature, the influence of temperature on the mechanism. So in summary, what I want to share is that whenever you think that your data has nowhere to go, always remember that they do have story to tell. And all you need to do is to look at the different perspective, and in order to convey the story and make it interesting. And in terms of publication, what I've learned from publication is that it's all about storytelling. Always choose a suitable journal to get published, and then know your target reader. Will they be the expert or general reader? So tell the story accordingly. So for scientific research, for those who are in early phase of scientific research, I would suggest if you like to do the fundamental study, choose 1 established field, and then try to find the knowledge gaps. And if you like to do the application study, employ 1 established technology and make it special by using different material or modify the process condition. This is what I did. So that's how I get my plan on time. So how did I manage to graduate last year? And then this is my point of view. 50% is my effort. 20% is I have a clear research vision. 20% have a good synergy with my SV, and 10%, of course, I have been having a good time will be, sometimes good because your mental health is very important as well. So UMism, let's make UM top 100. And then that's all from me. That's it. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful, even though to other fields as well.
All right. So again, in science with all this thought, everything has to have results for you to publish, and it's actually the journey. And it's the same thing I actually tell my student right now. It's okay if you don't get good results or the results that you want. It's the story that you're going to tell, because that's what's going to get published. Even if it's a negative result, it's a result. So don't look at a negative result as a bad thing. Right? All right. So Dr. Mahdi, what can you share? Something that you didn't, you had a good relationship with your supervisor, yes? But what was it that, say, post-graduating, that looking back, you thought, I did not know he or she did that for me? And how has that maybe, has that influenced you in the way that you now work?
Thank you. Actually, yeah, I had a good relation with my supervisor, but there was ups and downs. Sometimes, as I told you, that brought me up and put me down, because actually my background is management, not the economics. But I did PhD in economics, so whenever I write my thesis, so my supervisor is to say that your writing from management perspective is still not in economics. So that was the challenging for me, but also, if you say I managed the relationship with my supervisor during my PhD, and after that also I try to manage my relationship, because this is our culture, this supervisor or teacher we used to respect. So from that perspective. But what you said, let's say that I have completed my PhD 2015. After that, I joined as a faculty member 2016. So I deserve that my supervisor will recommend for me to be the faculty member. But my supervisor wanted me to put somewhere else, okay? So it was a bit contradictory. So, one day she introduced me to our dean that he completed his PhD. So there is a research Center for Poverty and Development Studies. So they're looking for research fellow. So she recommended me that he can be the research fellow of that faculty. But there is also the faculty position at the same time. But my supervisor wanted to be the research fellow. And then finally, my dean called me, and which position you want? You want to be research fellow? Because your supervisor said to be recommend for research fellow, but there is a faculty position. So now I cannot say that I do not want to be the research fellow, and actually I want to be the faculty member. I do not want to be, but my supervisor recommends. So dean and my supervisor is very close. So maybe she will say to my supervisor, hey, Mehdi said he doesn't want to be research fellow. So I said, Prof, I have some background. I was working with CPDS, so shouldn't be any problem if I be in the CPDS. So, but at the same time, I am fresh graduate. I need some teaching experience. So if I get the opportunity to be a faculty member, so it would be fruitful for me, So just try to convince. I didn't ignore anybody. So, but I came to know that my supervisor didn't want them to be a faculty member. So it's okay, but at least she wanted me to be a part of faculty, okay? So it's not a big contradictory to me, So that's why I manage it. So.
All right, thank you. So I think now we'll just open questions to the floor. Okay, students out there, ask us some questions. What would you like to know? Anyone? Yes, no? Everyone just wants to go home? If anyone can share, like any student out there who can share something that maybe that you're going through, something, it could, yeah, project related. As you can see, we're all hardworking. For me, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so what I appreciate and what I think, I know some students don't have such a good relationship with their supervisor, but I felt like I needed to prove myself to my supervisor. So with every little experiment that I did in the lab, as simple as cloning, and running a gel, I would show my supervisor. And he's like, good job, Every single time, as small of a, experiment it was, as simple as it was, he would say good job. And to me, I really appreciate that. And as a supervisor now, I think it's something that I have adopted because I've seen it happen and I know how it actually boosts my morale. Because I know Dr. Amira said just now that your PhD or even a master's can be a very lonely time. And I would say, so prior to my PhD, I did my honors research, which was a year. And I didn't know what I was going through then. I felt very empty, very down. I don't know whether it was depression, but I'm glad that I had a good support system. So make sure that you have good friends around you, good people around you. If your friend doesn't understand that you have to put your work, your PhD or your master's project first before them, then how good of a friend are they? They should be there to support you. No questions, anyone? Oh yes, please.
Hi, I actually have a question and also just to share as well. When I was doing my PhD, I guess this is more for the supervisors around here. My supervisor was an angel of a lady. No matter how bad the work that I showed her was, and I know that sometimes it was really, really bad, but she never put me down. She never said, this is really bad work, go back and do it again. She never said anything that would really, I think, dampen my spirits. But what she did was that whenever I gave her work that was really bad, she would look at it and she would say, I think this one part can be improved if we do this, or I think this other part can be changed with something else. So that was something that I really, really appreciated from my supervisor. And on another perspective, as a supervisor, I really, really appreciate it very much when my students manage me. I really appreciate it very much when students actually tell me, okay, I'm doing this, and basically give me updates about what they're doing. Even if students don't give me a draft, I appreciate it that they inform me that they're doing something, or they even tell me that they're sick and so they can't be working on their PhD. So I appreciate knowing what my students are doing, and it really helps a lot as a supervisor when students come up and tell me what's going on. And I really also appreciate very much as a supervisor when students send me work, not one full chapter, but when they send me maybe parts of a chapter, maybe a small section, even an abstract, even say 1 page or half a page, because number one, it's not overwhelming for me to go through that. When I get a full chapter or I get 3 chapters to read at one go, my heart kind of sinks. And I'm thinking, oh my God, where am I going to find the time to look at this? So that's very stressful for me as well as a supervisor. But when a student actually comes up and gives me 1 page and say, can you just help take a look, am I going the right direction? It's a lot easier for me to correct mistakes. And on a personal level, I don't feel so stressed out. So that's one thing that I really appreciate, and quite a number of my students do that, and I really appreciate that very much.
Thank you. So as a student, you have to be very proactive. You don't want your supervisor to be chasing you down and say, what have you done this week? Or what have you done today? You should go and show them, this is what I'm doing. Give them the confidence. Yes?
I just want to say, maybe it's going to help some of us here. I want to say that some of the time you see that our supervisors, most of the time, they will test you. They will ask you to go and do a particular thing. It depends on you. If you do it, they will be happy. Sometimes, if you don't do it, they will not say anything. I could remember when I came, my supervisor just gave me a keyword. That's what she gave me, a keyword. Go and look at Autometrics. I look at, what is Autometrics? This is the first time I'm hearing Autometrics. You know, she asked me, well, this is the area I'm working on, and I want you to look at it. Then, maybe 2 weeks, you come back and tell me what you found out. And at the end, I came up with something. I say, well, yeah. You know, one thing I noticed about my supervisor is that she always, I would say both of them, always appreciates a little thing. So with that, that is a morale. So I want lecturers here, supervisors here to cultivate that habit in the life of their students, I mean their supervisors, because that alone will ginger them, will bring them up. I noticed that most of our colleagues here, they find that their supervisors are not doing much. You know, I told you, I look at my supervisor back from home, from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria, back from home. I look at their profile, what they have done, and I look at it that this area is good for me. Although when I came, the topics need to change. You understand? But in the process, I actually follow them. So one thing I noticed that once your students have done something, even though if it's not right, you can encourage them, boost them. Then make sure you look at their work. I noticed that some of my my colleagues in the lab actually changed their supervisor. Why? For 6 months, they did not look at their work. So I look at it that it's most of the, one of the things that students face here, that lecturers will not look at them, and they are paying. International students, they are paying heavily. So why won't you look at their work? But that is not in my own case, you know. I said it, that I'm very happy to have them. So I just want to share this. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, it's not the end of the world, and I think he brought up a question before. If you are in field A and then suddenly you moving to field B, then what do I do? And I think that as you know, you're doing postgraduate study, the thing that you take out of it is being able to learn, being able to adapt. You know, my own supervisor said, I don't want to hire you in my lab. I want you out to learn something else in a different place. It's not good if you stay in the same place for a long time. You can go a bit stale. I think you might hinder your own personal development. So I think in Malaysia is one of the places where I think even the grant system allows you to sort of play around and move around in different fields where but slowly I think you will find your niche, because you know you might do virology in one point and then you ended up doing on nanoparticles. You suddenly you shifted your expertise, but it's not the end of the world. It's always for your betterment. Is there anything else the rest of the panel would like to share?
Probably I'll just share one of my tips, but probably it's a little bit unorthodox, but it works for me. So the way I do my research, or the way I start off my thesis, is actually I start writing my thesis at the very end of my research. So meaning to say I don't actually start to write anything at all up until I'm finished with my experiment, and up until my supervisors agree with my experiment results. Only then I actually start writing my thesis. So there's one main reason why I'm doing that is because I felt that if I were to start writing my, say for example, research review at the beginning of my research, in my first year, there's a very high chance that the work that I have collected might not be really useful. So all these changes to the work that I have, to the writing that I've done in my thesis is going to be wasted. So to me, I think it's actually a waste of time. So I actually start writing from the first page of my thesis. I mean, at the time when I actually finished all my experiment results. And I have this so-called principle that I'll only write 1 to 2 pages per day. So it took me about 3 months to finish writing my thesis, and it actually works for me. All right, thank you.
I wonder about the problem you having with your supervisor, because when are you doing the research that you are doing is the same, have the same interest with him? So because of, I said that's the chemistry, that how you get the synergy part. You have to share the interest, combine your interest and your supervisor interest. So if you don't see there's no, common interest between you and supervisor, I think you should, start thinking, have plan B or something like that. Because in my case, I share common interest with my supervisor, so that's why I don't have a problem with my supervisor, but I did have problem with the other one, because of, I think it's not hard. I think it's not appropriate to say, but that's it. I think you have to have a common interest with your supervisor in order for you to work together. That's from me.
Yeah, during my PhD, actually, I keep in mind that supervisor is not my enemy, actually. If she or he put me down or she is called me, it's for my own benefit, not for her benefit. So I always keep in mind those things, and I follow. So sometimes, I appreciate, I think Dr. Amira, I think she, I also follow the same method. Now I am supervising few students, so I try to appreciate them. And if they did something wrong, so I try to, correct them in a good way. But there are actually, it varies person to person. There are some supervisors, they used to scold their students. At the same time, he or she loves their student too much, So it's one kind of, the baraka, So if supervisor scold me or something like this, is the process of learning, okay? Sometimes, maybe looking at my work, then supervisor, hey, this is rubbish, you have to change everything. So nothing to be disappointed, okay? So take it easily. Okay, whatever I have to do, I have to rewrite or recheck. Okay, take it easily. So I follow the same principle. Okay, during my candidature, candidature defense, almost I finished 70%. Then my supervisor told me that you have to change your theories. Okay, because basically I include the theory of planned behavior, then theory of the health belief model, and also the rational choice, the utility maximization. So she asked me to exclude some, from social science, using, the economics, use the utility maximization theory or rational choice or human capital, theory of human capital, something like this. So, okay, I took it easily, but it was very difficult for me at the time, to change, and then I have to rearrange my conceptual framework or something, But, at the beginning, I was, bit disappointed, but I took it easily, and within short time, I overcome that, my weaknesses. So this is the way I, try to manage myself and communicate with my supervisor effectively.
All right, thank you. So, basically, we need to have a very positive headspace. I mean, if you get told off, you want to cry or be angry for just for an hour and that's it, and then just go on and do your work. I guess that's what we have to do, because being angry for the rest of the next 2-3 years is not going to solve anything, right? All right, any last questions, or not, we'll wrap up? No more questions? Okay, I think that will be the end of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohamed Fazril, for conducting such a compelling forum just now. So as a token of our appreciation, I would like to invite once again Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faizal Egani, Deputy Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to the stage to present the souvenirs to the moderator and the panelists for the forum just now. With that, please welcome Dr. Muhammad Fazril Muhammad Razif. Dr. Muhammad Mahdi Masud, Dr. Khairul Anwar Ishaq, and Dr. Chong Chun Yong. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faizal, for presenting the souvenirs to the moderator and the panelists for the forum just now. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to come to the end of our seminar for today, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Muhammad Faizal Egani, Deputy Dean of Institute of Graduate Studies, University of Malaya, to give his closing ceremony speech. Please welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening. I think we are full, and I don't want to take your jogging or your gym times. So I just like to highlight three things about our conference. First is about thankful. So we IPS would like to thanks to the person or those have given us support in making this seminar success, from our VC to you as participants. And the second one is about expectation from us, IPS. We really hope that the input that you gain from the speakers can be applied and spread to your friends. So within or in 3 or 4 years, we can see you on stage of graduation convocations, inshallah. And last but not least, I would like to end this session with Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Muhammad Faizal, for the closing sermon speech. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of our seminar. Thank you for all your support and participation in the Graduate On Time Seminar 2018. It has been a great day and a wonderful session with all of you. Again, thank you all for your presence. God bless and good day to each and every one of you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. And please remember to leave your feedback form on your way out from the hall. Thank you very much.